Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. All right, guys, finally back with the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute after cataract surgery. Look a little funny because I'm not currently wearing my glasses. My eyes are healing up. They're much better than what they were. But I have to wait a couple of weeks before I can go back to the eye doctor and get a new prescription, which means that my vision's a little wonky still. Without my glasses, I can see great up close. I can't see anything whatsoever far away, and I can't see anything whatsoever far away with my glasses on. And with my glasses on, my vision up close is subpar at best. But we're not going to let that stop us from doing the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute videos, one way, shape, form, or the other. Get a cup of coffee here. So today we're going to jump right into it, and I forgot to grab something here. Had a question on the channel, on the YouTube channel, about how to formulate an actual mash bill. And I'm not going to try to overcomplicate this any more than what I have to. I'll do it as basic as what I can. But one thing I will tell you guys that might help you out is if you do not have my first book that I did, The Alchemist Cabinet Philosophy, Alchemist Cabinet Volume 1, it is still available at thealchemistcabinet.com in the warehouse section where you can order it. And this book does have, let's see if I can find it here, an entire section on various formulas, from determining the amount of proofing water for distillate, mash bill design, enzymes in malt, mash bill efficiency, bricks and chaptalization, etc. All things that I worked for a very long time to figure out. And the nice thing is I did try to make that kind of a quick reference thing, because the rest of the book is, you know, just black and white like this. But when you get over to the formulas, it's black, it's outlined in a gray boxes as such, so that way if you're flipping through the book, you don't know the page you're looking for, you just look for text that's written out like that. So these are various formulas that have helped me with my distilling career over the year, designing mash bills, etc. Over the years, designing mash bills, etc., figuring out how they would work, how well they would work, how efficient they would be. I had them memorized for a very long time, and actually this was kind of the first section of the book that I put together, was those formulas. Because I wanted them in a book that I could carry around, throw around, etc. So I didn't have to keep them memorized all the time. So that being said, this is available from thealchemistcabinet.com. If you order it from thealchemistcabinet.com as opposed to the Amazon link, I do sign them. To me, it's me signing it, so it's kind of a goofy fucking thing to me. But if you guys want it signed, I will gladly sign it to you, personalize it however you want me to, etc. So I may do a couple of videos like this to sort of touch on these sort of things and kind of help you guys expand your lexicon when it comes to distilling and brewing. I have found that a lot of professional distillers, especially professional distillers who've only ever worked at large heritage brands, they actually don't know how to design a mash bill, because they weren't brewers before. They didn't distill at home. They never learned any of that basic beer math or wine math or any of that sort of stuff, right? They sort of took what they were handed, they run with it, etc. And oftentimes the distillers at those big companies, they themselves aren't really distillers. They're almost marketing people or marketing personalities in a lot of ways, right? They're big personalities with family histories of distilling that makes them valuable to the company for other reasons other than distillation prowess, as it were. I've also found that there are a lot of guys over the years that I have done consultation for that have nice distilleries built. They're getting ready to fire up, and they have no clue how to design a mash bill, how a mash bill works, how to find out if it's efficient, or any of those sort of things. So to me, this is all basic math. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to sugar shine, although you can use it to do safety net sort of stuff, as Jesse from Still It talks about, where you're doing half sugar and half grain and doing half conversion with your various enzymes, etc. I'm going to presume if you're watching this video, you already know how alpha amylase and beta works, etc. You already know that there's enzymes within 2-row barley malt and distillers malt, or that you can use exogenous enzymes for your conversion. This is simply to figure out the math to actually create your mash bill. It's really not nearly as hard as what people think it is, but there's some misconceptions about it. And one of the misconceptions is that if, say, a mash bill is, let's call it 60% corn, 20% rye, and 20% malt, that the way that is figured is by percentage via weight or percentage via volume. And neither of those is true. The way that mash bill is figured is by the actual alcohol that is contributed by each individual grain. That is, the amount of alcohol being derived is the percentage that goes into the actual mash bill. I hope that makes sense to you. And I'm going to help you break that down. And there's a very easy way to do this, a very easy formula. It's the volume of your cooker times the last two numbers of your specific gravity times the percentage of the grain that you want divided by the points of that grain. I know right now that sounds confusing, but it really is not. So volume of the fermenter or cooker is very easy to figure out. What are you working with? Let's say 50-gallon barrel. 50 gallons. Start with that number, 50. The last two numbers of your target gravity, your target specific gravity. Your specific gravity is a measurement of the density of sugar that you actually have in your wash or your worts or your mash that you're actually going to be working with. You might have in mind that there's a specific gravity that you want to hit because that's a certain alcohol percentage. A lot of professional distillers, most of the time, unless they're dealing with rye, they're aiming about 1075, 1.075. That specific gravity number you're going to use in this equation, the last two numbers of that, just the 7.5. The percentage, well, you want what? Let's say we laid out that mash bill a while ago that was 60% corn, 20% rye, 20% barley malt. So you want 60% corn. So we're going to do 0.60. We're going to turn that into a decimal. So you're basically going to take 50 times 75 times 0.60 equals. Now the number that equals, you're going to divide that by what's called a grain's gravity points. And what those gravity points are is basically what is the worth, specific gravity-wise, of 1 pound of that grain dissolved in 1 gallon of water. So I'm going to throw you a few numbers that are going to be the most common numbers you're going to use anyways. Corn is worth about 35. Pretty much all barley is worth about 35. All wheat's worth about 35. Oats are typically 33 to 35. Corn can be 33 or so as well if it's flint corn, maybe even just a little bit lower. Buckwheat is 35. The only thing that's going to be a little bit off is going to be rye. Rye is only worth about 27. So you're going to take that number that you get, basically. So again, your volume times the last two numbers of your specific gravity times the percentage of each individual grain gives you a number. Divide that by that grain's points. So with corn, for example, you're going to divide that number by 35. And to sort of lay this out there for you as an example, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to do the rye, and you're going to take the volume, again, 50 gallons, the specific gravity, so times 7.5, times the percentage turned into a decimal, times 0.20 equals a certain number. Rye's points are 27. Divide that number by 27. That gives you your poundage of rye. You do the same thing for the barley. You do it for each and every single grain that you do. So if you guys are doing the math along with me at home, here's what you should basically end up with. For a mash bill that is 60% corn and a 50-gallon fermenter at 1075 specific gravity, you should have 64.28 pounds of corn. For a mash bill that then contains 20% rye, 50-gallon fermenter, 1075 specific gravity times 20%, you should end up with 27.7 pounds of rye, thereabouts. With the barley malt, because the specific gravity points that grain is worth is a little higher than rye, you use a little bit less of the barley malt than you do the rye, even though the percentage is the same amount. So 50 times 75 times 0.20 equals, and then divide by 35, 21.4 pounds. Is this making sense to you guys? I hope. This is the easiest way I can think to actually say this and to basically verbalize it. It may sound confusing right now. Go back and listen to the video again. Just figure out what specific gravity do you want to hit? What size fermenter do you have? What percentage of each grain do you need? And then what are the points value for each of those grains? And then you can figure out the equation very easily. Volume times last two numbers of specific gravity times percentage of that grain as a decimal equals a certain number divided by that grain's points. That'll give you the poundage for that particular mash bill. I hope that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, come back and ask me. I know initially that stuff sounds confusing, but once you do it a couple times, you'll find yourself writing mash bills just for fun. Even mash bills you don't consider that you'll ever want to make or ever have any desire to actually produce. You'll actually find yourself doing distillation math just for shits and giggles, just to do it. Or at least I do, and I know a lot of the old-time distillers do. I know some distillers that have been in the game, family's been in the game for generations, who have found some old notes of whiskeys that their family never did produce that we can prove. But, you know, they were just bored sitting in front of the still and writing out these beer mash bills. So, as always, reach out to me with your questions, guys. bishopshomegrown@gmail.com, alchemistcabinet.com for Alchemist Cabinet Volume 1 Philosophy, which does have that beer mat stuff in there broken down for you. Also, the brand new book, Volume number 2, The Black Forest Method, which has just literally, let me find it here, tons and tons of process, methodology, stuff like that, recipes, etc., plus historic photos. Some various different philosophy that I have on different things that I believe in as far as distillation goes, etc. Both those are available at thealchemistcabinet.com in the warehouse. Leave your questions or comments below on YouTube, and I'll catch you soon. Love y'all. Later.